お、来た来た。おはようレナ。
今日はケイチ君の方が早かったね。
普段を棚にあげるわけじゃないが、俺が朝の待ち合わせでレナに勝つなんて珍しいこともあるもんだぜ。
レナ、今朝はちょっとお寝坊した。昨べ寝つかれなくってね。
レナもか？実は俺もなんだよ。昨日の大騒ぎの余韻がずーっと残っててさ、布団に入っててもなかなか眠くならなくて夜が長く感じたぜ。
Interesting that Rena couldn't, go to sleep. So, was she dreaming when she was thinking about her past and her blaming herself for what happened with her parents? Or was this perhaps, was she dreaming or was she thinking about it? It could have been either one. She was, laying on a mattress of all things in the back of a station wagon while it rained, which sounds incredibly comfy. And then she didn't wake up until 11. I'm shocked she's not sick, because she had to go home, and I don't think she packed an umbrella with her. Anyway, yesterday I had a lot of fun with my friends, and went home still riding that high. I was too full to eat dinner. I kept talking with my parents about the great time I had over the past few days. I was so pumped up that I couldn't go to sleep. Kinda sounds like I'm a little kid. But given that Rena seemed to be the same way, I felt better about it. No, I felt better isn't the right way of phrasing it. I should say I'm glad to know that we shared the same feeling. Rena went treasure hunting after I left, so I'm sure she found many adorable things and went home, then talked with her parents about how great the day was. I mean, Keiichi probably couldn't sleep because he was, he had so much sugar in his body.
おお、ミオンが先に待ってるなんて、今日は雪が降るかもな。
人が珍しく先に待ってりゃそういうこと言うわけ？
それを言ったら私より先に待ってたケイチ君も珍しいよ。
I'm trying to remember, did they say that phrase in Onikakushi? I think Keiichi said something about pigs flying in Onikakushi.
雪が降るかもね。
人のこと言えないね。
It's gonna be another happy day today. I had fun the day before yesterday. I had fun yesterday. So I'm gonna have fun today for sure. I'm happy, and Mion is happy too. Of course, Rena and my other friends are equally happy. I'm not afraid to say it, and I wish these happy days would last forever.
なあミオン、今日は何をして遊ぼうな。
今日の部活？何がいいだろうね。レナは提案ある？
そうだね。昨日おとといと体を使うゲームが続いたから、今日はあまり体に激しくないゲームがいいな。
そうだな。レナの言うのも一理あるぜ。部活は肉体勝負だけが全てじゃねえだろ。
もちろん心技体全ての要素において完璧であってこそ部活メンバーだからね。じゃあ今日は何かテーブルゲームで遊ぶことにしよ
う。We're playing a new game that came from the West that's called Chainmail. You gotta use calculus for this one. Everybody was early this morning. We could enjoy our walk to school for once. After a while, we started talking about the upcoming festival. They told me that the festival was called Watanagashi, and that it's the biggest event of the year in Hinamizuwa.
そうだそうだ。昨日沖宮の家に親類が集まっていろいろと話が出たんだけどさ、ケイちゃんの話題が出たんだよ。
俺？園崎家の重鎮が集まって一体何の相談だよ。
いやさ、昨日のエンジェルモートでのケイちゃんの活躍を見てた店長の吉郎おじさんがさ、ケイちゃんのことを相当気に入っちゃったみたいでさそれでいろいろと話を聞いてみたら、他の親類も意外にケイちゃんのことを知ってる人が多いんだよね。ひなみ沢の名物男みたいな言われようだったよ。
名物男ってのはまた微妙な称号だな。その称号の9割方はミオンの罰ゲームに関係があるような気がするぞ。
それだけじゃないけどさ、ノリもいいし元気があって無鉄砲なところも今時の若い子にしては感心感心とみんなベタ褒めだったよ。
I felt a bit embarrassed to know that people I haven't even met were speaking well of me.
でね、今後の綿流しのお祭りで何かで活躍してくれないかなって話が出てね。
What the fuck? What?
ケイちゃん目立つこととか好きでしょ？
おいおいおいおい、本人不在で勝手に話を進めるな。
What the fuck is going
俺は
on?
孤独と静寂を愛するロンリーガイだぜ。
Lonely guy. Lonely guy.
誰がロンリーガイだ。チェリーボーイの間違いでしょ。
Oh my god.
はあ、チェリーってなんだろう、ケイチくん、チェリーボーイ。は
うおー、年頃の娘どもが朝っぱらからはしたないこと言ってんじゃねえ。
Okay, I thought they were gonna explain it, but cherry boy just means virgin. If you don't know. Or someone that's inexperienced for the most part. But they usually mean virgin whenever you get called a cherry boy. We really were still feeling the after effects of yesterday. Mion and I made a lot of noise teasing each other on the way to school. Then I watched us and laughed happily. I thought it was gonna cut to Rena's like internal dialogue and her saying something like, "But I wasn't happy. Keiichi was having way too much fun with Mion." Anyway, Satoko and Rika were already there when we arrived at school. They were also full of energy. Tomito and Okamura were too. From that, I can tell that they also had a good time yesterday. Everybody has been having a good time, really. In Hinamizawa, everybody is happy.
まだ引っ越してきて1年も経ったわけじゃないけどさ。
どうしたの突然。
いやさ、ひなみ沢に引っ越してきて俺幸せになったなって。
どうしたのケイちゃん、急に臭いこと言い出して。
レナにはわかるよ。ひなみ沢に引っ越してきてすべてが幸せになった気持ちよくわかる。この村にはね、きっと人を幸せにする魔法がかかってるんだと思うから。
See, now, when Keiichi probably heard that specific sentence, I think this village has some kind of power to make people feel that way. He's probably like, oh, Rena must really like Hinamizawa, right? She must really enjoy living in Hinamizawa. What he doesn't understand is that she means that literally. She literally thinks that this village has a specific power that will make you happy if you stay here and will crush your fucking dreams if you leave it. But he doesn't know this yet.
レナは幸せか？
レナはひなみ沢に引っ越してきてからが毎日幸せだよ。
そうだな。そいつは俺もだ。
ちょっと、なんかおじさんだけのけ者っぽくない？ブーブー。
The sky was clear, and the few thin clouds were pure white. The cry of the cicadas was telling me that the summer would be coming earlier than usual. Watanagashi is just around the corner. I'm sure we'll have great fun at the festival too. There will be more and more fun days to come, I'm sure of it. Summer is just around the corner. I thought it was gonna cut to the title cards or whatever, or like the little Higurashi, and then fade to black. The last class of the day was finally over, meaning that it was time for club activities. I was sure it would be fun. I couldn't wait. But then Mi-chan received a call and told us something had come up and she had to go, so we didn't have a club meeting today. I was really looking forward to it. There was nothing I could do. But I could at least chat with Keiichi on the way home. It'll be fun. Also, hey Warrior, thanks so much for the follow over on the Twitch side. I appreciate it. Keiichi sometimes says mean things, but he's very funny. When I chat with him, my depression goes away. Wait, what did I just say? Am I depressed? I have so much fun every day and I'm as happy as I can be. What did I have to be depressed about? Well, it was obvious. Because of Rina, my father is happy now. Before you met her, he was like a lamp in broad daylight. Honestly, he was like the living dead. But after he met Rina, he started to smile like he used to when he was living with my mother. He enjoyed talking with her and started going out with her. You could probably say they went on dates. Now, he looks 20 years younger. Rina gets along with my father well, and she's very kind to me too. There's actually no reason for me to hate her. But the bitter memories of my parents' divorce and my many regrets were gradually eating away at my heart. Was it okay to accept that woman? Rina might be the same as how Uncle Akihito turned out to be. Is she the enemy who takes my happiness away from her with her very existence? With or without bad intentions? Am I going to sit around until everything collapses again? Should I fight the enemy before it's too late? Rina comes to my house a little too obviously. Since my father started letting her stay the night, many of her belongings have turned up in the house. My father and I don't smoke, but there's an ashtray in the living room. The futon in our guest room is hers now. In the bathroom, there's a toothbrush. And shampoo I'd never choose to buy. I started to feel awkward about those things. And that's when I started noticing it at the front door when I came home from school. Her perfume. I asked my father once if he was thinking about getting married to Rina. He looked a little embarrassed, perplexed, and confused. He told me, not yet. He knew I was hurt by the divorce. That's probably why he couldn't admit that he wanted to remarry. That's why he said not yet. He'd consider it, but not while I was still living with him. That's what he meant, I guess. There's only one reason why I don't want him to get remarried to Rina. I feel offended that my sanctum, my family, is being invaded. I might be being selfish, though. I know keeping my father all to myself means keeping him miserable like he was before he met Rina. He has a life to live too. It's his right to heal from the pain from the divorce and to live, to find his new love. He wouldn't have to go through that painful life I'd prevented the divorce from happening in the first place. Or he wouldn't have had to. He has a right to a new life that lets him forget about the pain he never deserved, and I don't have any right to stop him. In fact, I have an obligation to try to return his happiness to him. I have to pay for my sin, my inability to prevent his divorce. Oh boy. Then, what should I do to make us both happy? It wouldn't be that difficult. All I need to do would be to give my silent approval of their relationship. My father tells me he won't get remarried while we live together. That means I should stop leaning on my family, be strong, and live on my own as soon as I can. Although, that doesn't mean I can tell him not to go out with her until that day. Rina comes to our house to see him despite her busy schedule. And she even stays the night whenever her shifts permit. They're adults. I have no right to say anything against that. That's why I chose to give my silent approval to their relationship and try to see her as little as I could. I get along with Rina on the surface. I know my father would have a hard time keeping face if we didn't, but it's a very exhausting and painful thing to get along with a person I don't really like. So whenever Rina comes over, I spend as much time as possible outside, then head home. Mi-chan's club activities are the most convenient thing to do to kill time, but there are some days we don't have a club meeting. On those days, I while away my time at the garbage dump hunting for treasure alone, and that's how I started to make my secret hideout. My father can do whatever he wants with Rina at home. I don't have to see them together. I can spend my time peacefully at my hideout. I sometimes feel depressed about my life. I sometimes want to talk to somebody about it, but nothing will change even if I talk to somebody. This is all I can really do. The most important thing for me to do should be to overcome the sadness of losing my family as fast as I could and to regain my own happiness. I have so much fun every day. I'm happy every day. Even on the way home, Keiichi was talking about funny things that made me laugh. My feeling gloomy in spite of that was kind of rude. My father should be happy. I should be happy. I just feel sad that I still can't separate from my father. Compared to the unexpectedness of the divorce, Irina's invasion is a very slow process. I think Irina understands how I feel. She treats me very kindly, but she doesn't do more than that. I think she understands that I'd feel uncomfortable if she did. I respect Rika, because she's strong even without her parents. Compared to the pain of losing both her parents unexpectedly, my problem is like nothing. I respect Satoko's toughness too. She also lost her parents and was forced to live a painful life under her uncle and aunt. Compared to the cruel treatment she had to go through, my relationship with Rina is a blessed one. I keep feeling anxious, but that's just because I'm still immature and because I feel like I'm not ready to separate from my father. I have to be strong like Rika and Satoko. I have to try my best to be happy. I'm going to live with all my might in order to regain the peace of mind that I lost that day. My assumption that I'm not happy is just a mistake. I should appreciate the wonderful days I spent with my wonderful friends. Just by realizing that I'm happy, the world shines so brightly.
それでね、あんまりにも可愛いから、レナ、はお持ち帰りって。
やれやれ。レナは毎日を楽しく過ごすことに関しては達人だな。
レナは毎日が楽しいよ。こんなにも素敵な友人たちに囲まれて過ごす、こんなにも素晴らしい日々があって、どうして不幸が感じられる？
だな。不幸なんかここにはないよ。いつまでも楽しくて、不幸なことなんかとは一切無縁。それがひなみ沢ってとこなんだからよ。
He should have stopped right there. But he just kept going.
レナが羨ましいよな。その悩み知らずな能天気さが羨ましいぜ。
Oh my god. Keiji.
はお、バカにされてるっぽい気がする。でも、毎日が楽しいなら、私は能天気でもいいかな。かな？
It kind of hurts because, like, last stream, that's what she was, like, thinking about. She kept saying how she wished to be an idiot, so she wouldn't have to deal with the pain of everyday life. How she could just enjoy the peacefulness, just enjoy the village, just enjoy every day to its fullness, without having to think at all. And here we have Keiichi just saying, I wish I could be a fucking idiotic optimist like you. Oh boy. I don't have any worries. I feel like I do, but that's just because I'm immature and I still want my father's attention. Come on. Say the magical words. It'll cheer you up.
Huh?
It didn't make any sense to say it now, but I was going to say it anyway because this is my magical phrase that always cheers me up.
お持ち帰り。
なんだよ突然。でもそれでこそレナだぜ。
That's right. This is me, Rena. I'm not Reina. Reina still wants her parents' attention. Rena is a goofy and carefree girl. She knows that every day is full of happiness and that she has the kind heart to appreciate it too. I should forget about icky things. I should live a wonderful life free of anything icky. Icky starts with I, and that's why I got rid of the I in Reina. I am Rena. I'm going to recapture the happiness I lost when I left Hinamizawa. I will overcome any pain and hardship. I can be happy, because I got rid of the icky things. I'm sure there are only incredible things waiting for me. Oh, incredible starts with I too. I was almost home, and when my house appeared, I noticed something different there. There was a truck parked in the front of my house. There was nothing in the back of it, but I can tell it brought something here because I saw some cardboard boxes, blankets, and ropes on the ground. From the front of the house, I heard the voices of two young men saying, "Well, we'll be going now." They passed me by as I walked towards the front door. They were wearing some kind of work uniforms. They looked like delivery people. My father was about to close the door when he
た
noticed
だい
me.
ま。何かあったの？
おかえり、レイナ。見てごらん、すごいぞ。
His voice sounds so weird. It sounds like, and this might ruin it for you, it sounds like a female streamer trying to do like that cringe mommy voice that they try to do every now and again to get like their chat's attention. Listen to him carefully. My father looked to be in a good mood. I didn't know why he was, but whenever he smiled like that, I just wanted to smile back at him. His eyes used to look like those of a dead fish no matter how hard I tried to smile at him, but these days he could put on a big smile just to surprise me. He has been literally coming back to life since a year ago, when we moved back to Hinamizawa. No, since he started dating Rina. When I see him smile like this, I'm happy, but at the same time I feel confused because I do not know whether I should thank Rina or not.
ほら、すごいだろ。
Do you hear it? He took me to the living room. He was probably expecting me to go all, oh, and ah. So whether there was something in the living room or not, I was ready to go, oh, and ah for him.
何これ？どうしたのお父さん？
Okay, listen carefully. I tried to sound excited and surprised. He was standing behind me, probably smiling with satisfaction at hearing my excited voice. I, on the other hand, was desperately trying to understand what was going on. For a moment, I thought I was in someone else's house. You see, the living room had been completely redecorated. The furniture we had was all basically from the former house in Ibaraki. My parents bought most of the furniture when they got married, so it was all old and a little dirty. Some of them still had crayon scribbles I drew when I was very little. But all of that was gone. Everything in the living room had turned a pastel color, looking very sophisticated like the rooms you'd see in soap operas. The new carpet looked very tropical. The new curtains matched with the carpet. The new sofa looked very expensive. The living room in general looked like a resort hotel. Oh, this music. It sounds very melancholic. The channel switcher of our old TV was broken, and we used to have to use pliers to change the channels. Oh. Yeah, I remember having to do this, but I used to have like a really old TV back then as well, like when I was way younger. If you don't know what that means, back in the day, like CRT TVs, I don't remember what kind of models these were, but for example, back in the day before remote control like CRTs, you had TVs that had a little like dial, a little knob that you would turn. Some were a little like, you know, it was like a small circle you would turn with your hands, or others would be like kind of like a, you know, when you turn those gachapon machines, or like when you insert a quarter into like a gumball machine and you turn it, and there's like a dial that's kind of like a horizontal like line, you know, this little like wedge that you turn. They used to look like that. Actually, let me see if I can find an example of these. One of these TVs, I mean. Yeah, one like this. Let me put it on screen real quick. So you can see the little knobs that they have, the dials right there on the right. And those would be tuned to like a channel, and I believe a specific frequency. Like that's what the top one was for, and the bottom one was for the channels, if I recall. Anyway, over time, that knob would break, and you would have to use pliers for them in order to turn them, because, well, that was kind of like the easiest way to do it. Because if that knob was removed, you would have this very thin, like, tiny stick. Let's see if I can find one. I'm just gonna search for it super quickly. I found one, but the image quality is garbage. I'll check a little bit more. If not, I'll show off that one. Okay, I'll just show off that one. 1 sec. Oh wait, here we go. No, never mind. Fuck. Here we go. Okay, so this is what it looks like if it doesn't have like a knob or a dial or whatever. It looks kind of like this. You can barely see it, but that's a pair of pliers clamping onto, you know, where the knob used to be. And then that's what you would use to turn the channel, like back in the day. And this is like way before my time. But I've had I had a TV like that when I was younger, and it was quite something. Anyway. Yeah, so the channel switcher of our old TV was broken too, and we used to have to use we used to have to use pliers to change the channels, but it was gone too, replaced by a new one with a big screen. The room's lights had also been replaced by nicer looking ones. The living room looked like a totally different world under the new fluorescent lights.
すごいね、お父さん。これはどうしたの？
心機一転さ。もう引っ越してきて1年にもなるんだから、お父さんもそろそろ気分を切り替えて、新しい生活に踏み出さないとなって思ったんだよ。
Yeah, like no offense to her dad's like voice actor, but holy fuck does he sound weird. He sounds very effeminate. He's like, I did it to get a fresh start. It's been a year since we moved here. I thought it was time for me to reboot and finally start a new life. That's what he sounds like. Anyway, I won't bring it up again. I suggested redecorating the house once in order to cheer him up, because he was still in pain after the divorce, but he wasn't interested at the time. He didn't want to get rid of the old furniture he had chosen with my mother, because he still couldn't get over her, and even though she cruelly broke up with him. I wanted to suggest it again when the time was right. I never thought he'd do it on his own initiative.
そうだね。こんな綺麗なお部屋だと心も晴れ晴れするもんね。素敵なお部屋だと思うよ。
いいだろう。ほらレーナ、お前ユリースに憧れてたろ。まだ組み立ててないけど、ほらちゃんとあるんだぞ。は
あ、お父さんすごいすごいすごい。これ私がもらってもいいのかな？
こらこら、それはみんなの共用のものだから、レーナだけってわけじゃないんだぞ。
共用でもレナが占領しちゃうからダメ。
My father explained the details of his redecoration proudly. He told me that he only did the living room this time, but he's going to redecorate all of the rooms. He sure had become more active. There are some parts about the redecoration I didn't like, but I still thought it was great because it made him happy. I found the old furniture outside in the yard.
あれは捨てちゃうの？
まあこの際だと思ってな。後で業者が引き取りに来てくれることになってる。
Getting rid of the old furniture means putting an end to my mother. I hated the furniture because it smelled like my mother, and I tried to break everything once. I understand why my father wants to take this opportunity to get rid of him, but for some reason this new living room makes me feel like I no longer belonged here. My father didn't choose the new furniture. Rina probably did. Most likely, my father and Rina decided to redecorate the living room and went to a furniture store to buy everything. I tried to think positively. The reason why my father didn't tell me about the redecoration was because he wanted to surprise me. No, my father never really considers things that deeply. So I suppose he didn't tell me because he just didn't think he needed to tell me. I'm sure he didn't redecorate the living room to make me feel like I was no longer welcome. Don't be negative, Rina. My father didn't have any bad intentions. He doesn't want to get rid of me. He doesn't think I'm the reason he can't get remarried. And yet, why did I feel sad looking at the old furniture in the yard? Why did I feel like I didn't belong? I realized the reason right away. That reason was me. To him, wanting to have a fresh start by getting rid of the things that remind him of my mother might be an indication of his unconscious desire to get rid of her daughter. My father doesn't really consider things deeply, so he might not be thinking that I'm the reason he can't get remarried. But he understands that he can't get remarried while we live together. By staying with him, I'm torturing my father. It was my fault that he had to get a divorce. That's why I have to support him, to help recapture his happiness. I couldn't just keep him all to myself. I'd have to start thinking about living on my own. I don't need to go to university. I should think about getting a job. But who would hire an uneducated girl like me? Even if somebody did hire me, I wouldn't be able to earn enough money to live on my own. Maybe I should think about working at a hostess club, like Rina does. Oh no. Oh no. Rina, I forgot Rina was a hostess. Oh, Rena, please don't do this. People only choose the jobs they can. A girl like me doesn't have a lot of choices. Not a lot of companies would hire me or pay the amount of money that I'd need to live on my own. But, come to think of it, where is the place where I belong? Whenever I end up feeling like this, I miss my secret hideout in the trash piles. I love to get under my blanket and feel the warmth on the cold night. The hideout gets hot and humid during the day and very cold at night. It's not a comfortable place to spend time in. But it might be the place where I can relax the most, more than I can at my house. No, I shouldn't think like this. I shouldn't think that my house has been invaded by Rina. I should thank her for making my father happy. Rina isn't trying to kick me out of the house. She's trying to get along with me. But I'm not opening my heart to her. I'm the bad one. I'm the bad one. And I'm blessed. I'm blessed. Satoshi and his aunt didn't get along at all, and she abused him for a long time. Compared to him, my situation is a lot easier. Sadako and Rika lost their parents and they live together now. They've been through very hard times. On the other hand, I still live with my father. I should feel blessed. I shouldn't think I'm unhappy just because of these things. I am happy. I am blessed. The trouble with me is that I still can't admit that I'm happy. My father kept talking proudly about the redecoration. I nodded him with a big smile and let him keep at it.
そうだ、いけない。レイナ、すまないんだが、ちょっとお使いを頼めないか？
お使い？うん、いいよ。
お父さんな、ジャケットを2着ほど洋服屋さんに取り寄せさせてるんだ。それがな、今日届くらしいんだ。ちょっとお父さんは回収業者さんを手伝わなきゃならないから、レーナが代わりに取ってきてくれないか？
うん、いいよ。お店を教えて。どんなジャケットを取り寄せたんだろう。楽しみ。
No matter what they look like, I'm sure Rina picked them out for him. Although I don't mind going. I'd rather go to the store than listen to his stories about the redecoration of our living room. Or redecoration. I got the receipt, asked him where the store is, changed my clothes, and left the house. I started pedaling with my bicycle and looked at the old furniture in the yard for the last time. They used to be the object of my hatred, but for some reason, they now make me feel sentimental. Is it because I still regret the loss of my mother even though I hated her? I couldn't let poisonous emotions take over my heart. I understood that in my mind, but I just couldn't get rid of that feeling. The old furniture wasn't the only stuff that was kicked out of the house. There was also a lot of junk that I brought home from the landfill. My father was probably going to throw that away too. He doesn't like the junk I collect. He'll probably let the delivery company take it all together with the old furniture. No, not the statue of the Colonel! Oh god. Just like an animal that rubs its scent on its home in order to feel secure, I collected all the junk in order to make sure that I could stay here. No, that's not it. I wanted to bring them to my house because they were abandoned by their former owners, and they needed a place to live. Aww. This has been a monumentally depressing chapter so far. Even though, at the start, Ryukishi's like, oh, just enjoy the show. Enjoy the clowns and have fun. And then by chapter 3, we get all the fucking depressive shit. And hey, Casanova Cumlord. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you're having a wonderful day as well. The store where my father ordered the jackets from is a fancy boutique. It's hard to believe my father would shop at a store like this on his own. I could tell right away that Rina took him there. I handed over his receipt to the cashier. A short time later, the store manager came out wearing a perplexed look.
竜宮様、大変申し訳ございません。実は入荷のトラックが高速で事故渋滞に巻き込まれているようでございまして、おそらくはもうじき到着すると思うのですが。
He said that the driver called a while ago, told him he just got off the highway and would be here in about an hour. I didn't need to know all the details, but he explained them to me anyway. I asked him if I should come back tomorrow. He insisted that I should wait because the truck would be coming shortly, and he urged me to take a seat on their sofa. But I didn't really feel comfortable waiting there, so I told him I'd be back soon and left the store. I wondered if there were any fast food restaurants nearby. I might have to go all the way back to the station. I looked around and found a coffee house. The glass on the door was black, so I couldn't see inside. But there was a poster saying the price for a cup of tea is lower than normal for women on weekdays. I'd just be going to get a cup of tea to kill some time. It should be okay. But still, I hesitated to go inside before opening the door. Her first impression of the coffee house was... What? What kind of tonal shift is this? And I don't know if it's just like my eyes or something. I can't tell if this text is white or like a very pale green. Here, give me 1 sec. Let me double check. I think it might be like a pale green and you can barely see it, but I'm just gonna quickly check. No, it's white, but for some reason, like my eyes, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Her first impression of the coffee house was the smell of cigarettes. It's normal for coffee houses to be filled with cigarette smoke. It's like a requirement. But Rena still regretted her decision. While she was thinking about leaving, the proprietor spoke to her brusquely and showed her to a table. Rena gave up on the idea of leaving and sat down. The atmosphere in the shop was far from a clean normal coffee house where you would go to simply enjoy coffee and cigarettes. It was more like a place where vulgar people would hang around. Rena didn't feel comfortable at all, but what bothered her the most was the laughter of a man and a woman sitting together in the very back of the shop. Her table was behind a planter, so depending on how one looked at it, one could say she was in the spot most protected from their laughter. But Rena looked as though she wanted to leave as soon as she finished her tea. The bell hanging from the entrance door rang, letting her know a customer just came in. It was a little surprising for her that a coffee shop like this could draw in so many customers. This is the same background from a bit ago, actually. From the last episode where we had Rena meet with her mom and have the parfaits, I believe. Rena peeked at the new customers from behind the planter. There were 2 of them. They looked like vulgar men, the kind of people you don't want to get involved with the instant you saw them. The proprietor tried to show them a table, but they ignored him and walked towards the back. They walked up to the couple who had been laughing loudly and greeted them with a bow.
Oh, やっと来よったんか。まあ座れや。
The couple stopped laughing, and the man told the newcomers to sit down in a threatening tone of voice. As instructed, the 2 of them took a seat.
で、どういうこった？
すんまへん。なんとかその。
ごたくはええねポケ。とっととうなるもんさらさんかい。
He said... Yeah, instead of like, sunimasen, he said suimahen. Suimahen. Is that from a specific region? Let's see. Let me double check. Or sumimahen, I mean. Not sure. It might be a local dialect. Probably from like Osaka, maybe. I don't fucking know. Anyway. The 2 of them looked at each other before they each took an envelope out of their pockets and put it on the table. The man roughly grabbed the 2 envelopes and tore one of them open. Inside, there were many wrinkled 10,000 yen bills bound into a bundle with a rubber band. He opened the other one to make sure it also had cash in it and then threw it to the
おい
woman.
数えんね。
ちょっと私に命令しないでくれる？ もともと私の金なんだから。
じゃがましい。黙って数えんなえんね。
The man yelled at the woman. She licked her thumb, looking annoyed, and started counting the cash expertly. The two newcomers hung their heads while she counted. Lighting a cigarette, the man waited for her to finish counting.
はいよ、全部あるわよ。
The woman said that after flicking through the last bill. The newcomers looked relieved. The man, however, didn't look satisfied as he stared at the bundle of the bills the woman was holding.
いつこ、これいくらあった？
全部って言ったわよ。
Ritsuko.
全部っていくらかっちゅって聞いとんねん。
Have we had a Ritsuko show?
だから、私が貸した金、全部だって言ってるでしょ。
Okay, they don't have a portrait.
バゲが。利子はついとるか聞いとるんねん。
The man and Ritsuko yelled at each other. Even though they were making all that noise, the other customers acted like they didn't hear anything.
おい兄さん方、200万ビッタンこっきゃないんね。どういうこっちゃ？
The two of them were trying to find some excuses to make. It seemed like this behavior had touched the man's nerves as he started looking furious.
おら！黙っとったらわからんがな！
His angry voice echoed through the shop. He hit the table hard and dropped the glass on the floor. The noise thickened the tension in the atmosphere.
すんまへん。
すまんで済んだら警察はいらんちゅうねん。こちとら誰とこ出ても一個に構わんでんの。
それはどうかご勘弁ください。
The two newcomers must have been in an extremely vulnerable position. They bowed so deeply that their foreheads almost touched the table.
それを勘弁したるって今日呼んだんねん。それがどういうけじめのつけ方な？あ？
すんまへん、エロすんまへん。
While you could pity them, the newcomers looked as vulgar as the man threatening them, making it hard to decide whether you should feel sorry for them or not. Oh my god. After a while, Ritsuko opened her mouth as if to offer them some help.
てっちゃん、
Eh? 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 What do you mean? What do you mean? Excuse me? Actually, I don't think we've seen... Oh, God, they look fucking disgusting in this art style. Ugh. What the fuck is this? What is she doing here? Why is he here? What do you mean he... What do you mean he... She was the mistress the whole time? Eh?
すごんじゃかわいそうでしょ。ごめんね。うちの人、銭絡むとすぐとさかに来ちゃう人で。
銭絡むと余計だね。
And here he is, a little angry, or dismissive, or sassy.
お前にあやつけよったんから本気になっとんよ、おら。
もう、バカなこと言っても何にも出ないわよ。
The man pulled Ritsuko roughly into his arms and frantically kissed her lips without caring about the other customers. Their kiss wasn't like the lovely ones that normal couples would share. It looked obscene instead. He let her lips go. He let her lips go to take a breath, kissed them again, and repeated that for a while. After a while, he finally got bored of kissing her and let go.
うちの人は私のことになるとすぐ頭に血が上っちゃうのよね。困ったもんなのよ。
ああ、そうよ。こいつと俺はいわば一心同体ね。この女に泥塗り腐るやつは俺に塗ったんと同じやんな。血祭りじゃすまんね
いつぞやかのほらあいつあれ表連れてってからどうしたんだったっけ？
God, what a face. Holy shit. Just like one eye. What the fuck? It was so tiny. That's so weird.
バカか。表へ出るとか抜かしょんからかかとくれてやったわ。野郎空手やるとか抜かしおるからどの程度か思うたん。ちょっと芝居たら即土下座やん。拍子抜けしたからズボン脱がせてそいつでこの表の歩道を磨かせてやったわ。おお、俺町の役に立っとんねん。お役所に表彰してもらいたいんわ。
やだ、そんなことさせたの？あんたって時々容赦がないのよね。
They started laughing loudly like they were doing earlier. Their laughter obviously intimidated their companions.
ねえあんたたち、てっちゃん、今日はねすっごく機嫌がいいの。普段だったら銭が足りんって騒ぎ出して、今頃あんたたちすっぱだかにされて玉子川に叩き込まれてるわよ。
すまへんすまへん。
まあ利子は忘れたちゅうたかてかっちりキースマに額を揃えたんだきゃ感心さな。そこいらへん評価したってもええんで。
それでね、てっちゃんの利子ちょいとあんまりだと思ったのよ。今日だから5本で済むけどすぐに売買ゲームになっちゃうでしょ。そしたらあんたたちすぐに逆立ちしても払えなくなっちゃうわよ。でね、私あんたたちにいい話があんの。てっちゃん、悪いけどあんたちょっと席を外してちょうだい。
しょうがねえな。
Man left the table with a grin and headed for the bathroom. He was far too amenable to that request, as if they planned for him to leave the table at that moment. Or amenable, I mean. Ritsuko made sure he was in the bathroom, then took some papers out of her bag and spread them on the table.
あんたたちも若いんだから、あんなヤクザに絡まれて一生を不意にしたくないでしょ。だからね、てっちゃんの利子は今日きっちり払っちゃいなさい。そうすればあんたたちはとりあえずあいつとは縁を切れるわけなんだから。
そりゃそうですけど、でも50万なんてこれ以上もう払えないっす。
まあそうよね。200万だって相当精一杯集めたんでしょ。さらに50万も工面できるあてなんてないでしょう。
They must have done their very best to collect even the money they brought in today. So it must be impossible for them to collect even a dime from anybody now. They hung their heads and told her that.
でね、ほら気を利かせて私が書いてきてあげたのよ。
The guys looked at the paper on the table and muttered under their breaths.
担保も連帯もいらないんでちょいと利率はあれだけど、これなら即50万積んでくれるわよ。それにさ、この利率でもてっちゃんの利率よりははるかにマシだと思うんだけど、どう思うかしら。
It would be easy for anyone to guess what Ritsuko was trying to force them to
こ
do.
れにサインしたのを見せれば彼も男気を感じて勘弁してくれると思うわね。どうする？ああ、万年筆使うなら置いとくわよ。
So, Erena is able to see this happening. But maybe because she's behind, like, the plant, she can't exactly see who Tet-chan is talking to. They read the small print on the documents and were stunned by the outrageous interest rate. Ritsuko didn't force him to do anything. She just looked out of the window and smoked her cigarette. After a while, the man returned from the bathroom.
おう、話はついたが。
They looked at him, steeled themselves, and took the pen.
てっちゃんの利子借金で一括返済するって。
おおおお、関心なワークオードだね。男は背負うもんがなくちゃあかんね。
They must have planned this from the very beginning. The man and Ritsuko got what they wanted and grinned at each other. There were many things to fill out on the document, and it was taking them a long time. The man and Ritsuko, already knowing that, started talking amongst themselves.
律子、お前のひなみ沢の旦那の調子はどうなんね。
旦那なんてよしてよね。
どうなんよ。だいぶ銭持っとんと聞かされてるん。どのぐらい絞れそうなんよ。
そうそう、それがさ、すっごいのよ。別れた奥さんがだいぶ慰謝料をくれたらしいってのは聞いてたのよ。でもね、それが本当にすっげえあるらしいのよね。
かなりってどのぐらいねん。
銀行に5000万くらい持ってるわよ。あぶく銭なわけだしね。もう気前がいいのなんのって。
なんねそれ。で、どの辺まで行けそうなんね。
私にだいぶお熱みたいだからね。だって私が言えば何でも買うのよ。何でも。あんたみたいなドケチとは大違いよね。私も本気になっちゃおうかしら。
抜かせっぽげ。俺以上の男が他にいるか。
もうこんなところでよしてよ。
で、そのひなみ沢の旦那にどう持ってくつもりなんよ。
あんたを出しに手切れ金がいるって方向で持ってくつもりなのよ。
なんぼふっかけるつもりね。
そりゃ
つっくづく恐ろしい女じゃんねえ。エキストラがいるときは呼んでな。俺も大暴れしちゃるんで。
すみません。
ああ。
Oh, they finished.
じゃ、それ持ってローン行こうか。律子、会計頼むね。
The man pat them on the shoulders and then walked to the door. Another person was about to enter, and they nearly ran into each other. The man probably wouldn't make way for the person considering his personality. But when he noticed who that person was, he stepped aside. Kasai! The person looked as vulgar as all the other men. He was wearing a black suit with sunglasses on. He wasn't that big, but his stern look was very intimidating. It was clear at a glance that he was a gangster, and a professional one at that. The man who was behaving badly earlier looked a little nervous in front of him. As Ritsuko finished paying the check, she noticed the man in the suit.
総支配人。
General Manager?
どうも、おはようございます。
The man in the suit said nothing. He just raised his chin as if saying, fuck off. Oh my god. Ritsuko and the others bowed to him and then left the shop in a hurry. The proprietor noticed the man in the suit, also greeting him with a bow. Who could he have been? He appeared sedate compared to the other men, but he must be dangerous because he made even them step aside. Everybody in the shop thought the same thing and tried not to look at him. The man in the suit looked around and found the menu on the wall. The proprietor walked up to him hesitantly.
マスター。
はい。何か部長報がございましたでしょうか。
この日替わりデザートのスイートなんとかというのは今日はやっているのか。
いえ、本当は今日はやってないんですが、どうしてもとおっしゃるんでしたら特別にご用意を。
無理なら無理と言ってくれればいい。出直す。
That's okay.
ほら、葛西特別にご用意って言ってくれてるじゃないですか。 こまで来てみっともない。
The girl seemed to be the only one who couldn't read the heavy atmosphere in the shop, and she came in laughing cheerfully. It was Mion Sonozuki's twin sister, Shion. Shion pushed Kasai into the store while he hesitated. She looked at a girl who was sitting down and stopped in her tracks.
あれ、やっぱりそうだ。ハロローン、レナさんじゃないですか。こんにちは。
If it isn't Rena, oh boy.
あ、しーちゃん。
こんなとこで会うなんてびっくりです。あれ、お一人？ひょっとして誰かと待ち合わせ？お姉かな？いやいや、ひょっとしてケイちゃんかな？
しーちゃん、その連れの人は？
葛西のこと？まあ、私のボディーガードとか思っといてください。命の危険が迫ったら葛西が守ってくれるんだよね。
それがお望みでしたら命に代えてでも。
うわー、葛西、あと20も若かったらやばいかもだね。顔は怖いけど面白いやつです。
Oh.
こちらはね、竜宮レナさん、お姉のお友達。
葛西です。よろしく。
葛西さん、さっきすれ違った人たちは知り合いですか？
Kasai nodded, indicating that he was familiar with them.
誰？私は全然あんなの見たことないけど。
男は北条哲平。ちょいと礼儀知らずのろくでなしです。
A skunk of a human being. What a descriptor. Shion seemed to know who he was once she heard the name Hojo.
女の人の方は？
間宮里奈。源氏名だと思いました。確か律子って名前だったかと。フラワーロードの店の一つで働いてる従業員です。
葛西さん、里奈さんとその北条さんはどういう人たちなんですか？とても仲が良さそうに見えました。
北条は確か里奈とは深い仲かと。たちの悪い連中ですので関わり合いになられない方がいいと思います。
Oh.
どうたちが悪いんですか？
Irena pressed him for the answer, and Kasai seemed to back down a little from that pressure.
女の私生活には触れないのが仁義ってもんです。
どうたちが悪いんですか？
それはご勘弁を。
どうたちが悪いんですか？
Irena kept asking the same question until she got an answer. Shion sensed how desperate Irena was and cut into the conversation.
葛西、意地悪しないで教えてあげなさいよ。興味本位で聞いてるわけじゃなさそうだしさ。ね、レナさん。
There was a tension developing between Rena and Kasai. Shion seemed to be the only one who couldn't read the mood. Kasai finally opened his mouth.
あの二人はたちの悪いろくでなしどもです。恐喝と博打で生計を立ててると聞いています。詐欺行為もやるって話で。
Badger games.
詐欺ってどんな？
あいつらの詐欺ってのは、まあ何？結婚詐欺ってやつですか？要するに男の人に言い寄っていい感じになったところで相棒の男が乱入して俺の女に何しやがるって金を巻き上げる古典的恐喝です。
散々貢がされた挙句根こそぎ巻き上げようっていうクズどもです。最近でかい相手を引っ掛けたらしいと噂になっています。
じゃあそりゃあどちら様か存じないけど気の毒なことで。でもまあ鼻の下を伸ばした代償なわけだし自業自得。
そんな言い方はないもんです。男は時にコロッと女に騙されちまうもんですよ。
Oh boy.
ほー 何それ、葛西をコロッと騙した女って誰？マスター、デザートは私と葛西と、あとレナさんでって、あれ？
今お帰りになりましたよ。
Irena was already gone. The door, which had just closed, looked as if it was the only thing that knew where she went. Holy fuck. Irena. Oh no. We know exactly what's gonna happen during the Watanagashi this time. When I got home, the door was locked. Oh my god, I just realized. It'll be a double whammy. Anyway, I won't spoil what I think might be going on. But any attentive reader or viewer who's been following the series probably knows what might happen. When I got home, the door was locked. I used my key to get in, and I found a note in the living room. Something's come up, so I have to go. I'm going to eat out tonight, is what the note said. This wasn't the first time he'd done something like this. Each time, he only told me he had to go to Okinomiya for something. But I knew the real reason, because I heard him talking on the phone once. Rina must have had some free time between jobs and asked him out to have dinner together. I heaved a sigh, looked at the new living room I hated, and went to my room. I thought back over what I just heard at the coffee house. I tried to rationalize the meaning of her actions there. Maybe she had to pretend to be a bad person because she was just being threatened by the man. But even after the man she called Tet-chan left the table, she continued to threaten the guys and push them into signing a loan contract immediately. If she was threatened to play along with the man, she wouldn't have done that. If she was pretending to be a bad person, she could have shown a little bit of mercy or sympathy when he left her alone with them. It's like holding water in a bowl you made with your hands. No matter how sturdy you made the bowl, water would leak from your fingers. Mercy and sympathy leak out from you. But nothing, not even a drop of water, leaked from Rina-san. Her hands weren't even moist. They were all dried up. There was no water that could leak through those hands. Rina was threatening those guys as much as the man was. Neither was leading the other along. They were doing it together. That was it. Rina is a bad person. My brain cells accepted the idea with applause. After all, I always hated Rina. I just couldn't accept the feeling because my father liked her. But at that moment, I could finally accept it. She's a bad person, just like my mother. She's an existence that will ruin everything and destroy my father's happiness just by being with him. But I wonder if my father would understand that if Rina is a bad person... I wonder if my father would understand that Rina is a bad person if I told him. My father likes her so much that he would jump over a cliff if she asked him to. He thinks everything she does or says is great, and he interprets everything about her in a positive way. He protects her and praises her without asking him to. I'm not a kid anymore. I understand how a woman can tame a man. It's different from love. Love is about trying to build a relationship. Taming is just a way of satisfying the lust to dominate. She's just trying to make him into her slave. Women can deceive men, even my father. They can use dirty methods to ensnare men like they're following a manual. It's the weak point all men are born with. Even with a strong will, they can't resist it. That's why we hate those women who exploit that weak point to deceive men. That's why I couldn't bring myself to like Rina. For the sake of argument, let's assume that I acknowledge an unreciprocated love like that. But that would only be as long as it was love. If it wasn't love, if it was just a method to threaten and squeeze money out of him, I would never forgive her. I remember their conversation at the coffee house. Also, this background is different. And the console version. Irina said that my father was a big spender. In fact, I think he spends more money without hesitation before he met Irina. I was happy that he started to regain an interest in going out into the world again, but now I don't know whether I should be happy or not. He controls the money of the Ryugu family overall, but since I do the grocery shopping, he often gives me his bank book so that I can withdraw money. Because of that, I know where he keeps his bank book, his personal seal, and other important stuff. They're in one of his drawers, which he usually locks. I know where he hides the key, and I know the combination to the cash box inside the drawer. He might be coming back soon, so I felt a little nervous, but I had to make sure. I opened the cash box, which had some bank books, personal seals, stamps, and unused postcards. And again, personal seals are like... I've talked about this before in the past, but it's basically a seal, like a stamp, kind of, that has your last name's kanji on it. And that's what you use to sign important documents. So let's say you get a package delivered, you grab your seal, you dip it in ink, you stamp like a piece of paper, and that's it. Instead of having to sign for it, you just use your seal. And it's a very important thing in Japan. Like, you literally can't do anything without it for the most part. I removed everything from the cash box to get at the bank books. Then I found something new. On the bottom of the box, there was a bundle of new 10,000 yen bills. Its thickness wasn't something I could ignore. There was also a paper wrapper that looked like it had been bundling the bills. The wrapper had a stamp that said it was a bundle of 1,000,000 yen. He usually kept some cash at home because it was troublesome to go to the bank every time he needed money. But it was usually around 100 to 200k at most. He's never kept such a big amount of money at home before, because he knows it's unsafe. The extraordinary amount of 10,000 yen bills was abnormally intimidating. I tried to open the bank book, but my fingers got numb all of a sudden. A part of me was trying to deny the things I heard at the coffee house. It wasn't because I wanted to defend my father or even Rina. It was because I didn't want to believe that my father was the husband in Hinamizawa the blackmailers were talking about. I opened the bank book. The last time I saw it was about 2 or 3 months ago. It shows countless withdrawals since that day. I probably wouldn't normally understand what those numbers meant, but I felt in that moment as if 10 different digits were speaking to me. They were a series of cruel digits. It started with some understandable expenses that I assume represent dinners or something, but then the amount of money starts to become nice round numbers like a 5 or a 10. I can tell by looking at the dates he withdrew the money that he wanted to have a certain amount of cash on hand when he went out with Rina. Among those expenses, a big number appeared all of a sudden. It was too much money to spend on the date, hundreds of thousands of yen. I looked at the date of the withdrawal and I traced it back in my memory. I remembered. Around that time, Rina was talking about moving into a new apartment. I know the market rate of rental apartments in Okinomiya. You needed to put down 2 safety deposits and 2 payments of key money in order to rent an apartment? Holy fuck, dude. Like, 1 safety deposit is like 1 thing, but 2 of them? That amount of withdrawals sounded reasonable now. He paid the whole down payment for her new apartment. After that, big numbers appeared one after another. I could tell that they were congratulatory gifts for a new apartment or something. The numbers got bigger and bigger. It looked like at first he was withdrawing only the amount of money needed, but then he started withdrawing big amounts all at once because he knew he was going to use it in someday anyway. The change meant only one thing. He lost a sense of value of money. The balance kept going down and I started feeling anxious about what's going to happen if he continued spending money like that, but then I saw a deposit of a big amount of money into the account. Where did that money come from? There was only one thing I could think of. I opened the other bank book. It was easy, like a puzzle for kids. It was like playing with an easy jigsaw puzzle that comes with huge pieces that you don't even have to put together to see what the whole picture looks like. My father was using money from his time deposits. In other words, the settlement my mother paid my father when she divorced him. To him, it's cursed money. I'd understand if he wanted to use it to get a new love. But that was just an excuse to use the money from his time deposits. Money is money. Even though it's his divorce alimony, it's still important money for our future. Even though it's cursed money to him, that doesn't mean he can waste it. Big expenses start appearing one after another. There are many expenses upwards of 6 digits. For some reason, I could immediately tell they were all for buying electric appliances and furniture. He must have been buying everything she asked him to. If, from the beginning, Rina was only seeing to check if he could end up being a big catch, she must have been trying to find out how much money she could squeeze out of him. And my father bought her anything she wanted, no matter how expensive it was, so she probably thinks of him as a perfect catch now. The numbers in the bank book told me so. The simple numbers and dates on the bank book started talking to me. Around the time he started withdrawing big amounts of money, Rina started coming to the house more often, and she also started spending the night. To Rina, my father was just a guy who spends big money, but around that time, she landed her big catch. My father used to refer to her as my friend in Okinomiya at first, but he started referring to her as Rina-san, as Rina-san around that time. Holy fuck, this is partially his fault. But he was betrayed by his beloved wife, and he was feeling hurt and down for a long time. It's also partially my fault. That's why I didn't want to blame him. And he's not that good looking either. There's no way he's immune to women. He must have not been able to resist an attractive lady who aggressively approached him when he was feeling down. He's crazy about Rina, and he can see nothing other than her. I can't blame him because Rina trained him to be that way. I put the bank books and other things back into the cash box. This cash box is just like my father's heart. Rina is eating up the contents. What should I do? Think, Rena. Should I tell him about Rina? About Rina's scheme? No, that probably won't do anything. The whole point of taming an animal is that it won't run away from its owner even when the door is wide open. My father probably won't leave his cage even if I open the door. Should I confront Rina about her plot when he's with her? The result would be the same. Rina would run behind his back. He'd probably try to protect her. If she pressed her breast against his back, he'd protect her no matter what. I couldn't make this a problem between me and him. First of all, I was trying to get rid of Rina for his sake. If we got mad at each other, it would give the advantage to Rina. It would be like I was putting myself into her trap. Then that meant I couldn't make him do anything. If I couldn't make him break up with Rina, I'd have to talk to Rina directly. So instead of making my father fight, I'd have to fight in his place. But how? That guy, Kasai, who was with Shi-chan today, seemed to know the man that Rina was with. I wonder if I can somehow meet him again. He looks scary, but I was introduced to him as a friend of Mi-chan. Mi-chan has a lot of power around here. There's no way he would treat me badly. I wondered if he could tell Rina and that man to back off from my father. That helped me a lot, but I didn't know how I could meet him again. I could ask Mi-chan for help, but I didn't want her to know about my situation. This is a problem of the Ryugu family. This is nobody's business but mine. Yeah, this is a battle that I'd have to fight alone. I regretted my parents' divorce. I wept about the tragedy I could have prevented if I tried. I wasn't going to weep this time. I wasn't going to let the chance slip away. This time I would fight for my happiness. Holy fuck. Reading so much is killing my throat a little bit. Anyway, we got a new tip, the property estimate. So let's see what this is all about. Dear Ritsuko Mamiya-sama, Executive Housing Corporation. Attached estimate. We thank you for your past visits and inquiries to our office. We've included the estimate for the property you inquired about. Basic information. Property name, Palace of Versailles, room 707. Property code, 14M1421. Property type, modern condominium. Layout, 2LDK. Address, Shishibuya City, Koiwa-cho, 2 Chome. Or Shishibuya City, Koiwa-cho, 2 Chome. Transportation, so-and-so line, Gogura Station, 5 minutes on foot. Cost 49 million yen? 49,800,000 yen. What? Maintenance fee 20,000. Other, southeastern corner room elevator floor. Condominium fitness club membership included. Thank you for your interest in this property. The area around Gogura Station is a prime real estate zone for luxury condominiums. Along with future planned developments, the real estate value in and around the Gogura Station are expected to rise, and this property is not an exception. As a result, many prospective buyers are interested in this property. Hence, we'd like for you to understand that the selection process for this property will be done via lottery. Also, We offer celebrity member preferential treatment, granting highly improved chances through additional lottery entries. Oh my god. Please feel free to inquire with our agents for more details. Executive Housing Corporation. Celebrity Account Manager. Kawabata. What the fuck, dude? Holy shit. What a fucking chapter this was. Fuck, I still kind of can't get over it. Like, it's so much has been going on with Te-chan and Rina. Or with Satoko's uncle and Rina. Holy fuck. Anyway, let's keep going. I'm gonna save real quick. I wanted to go all the way up to chapter 6, but my god, if I'm gonna be reading this much, I might only be able to do 2 at a time. Just because it's so much. Even when we're doing SRW, like that last stream that we did for Super Robot Wars OG, holy shit, it was killing my throat. Because I was reading
そりゃ多分笠井
so
さんだ
much.
ね。シオンの監視役だよ。
監視役なの？
まあね。シオンのやつ、私と比べると突拍子もないことをするからさ。監視役が必要なわけよ。
ミオンもシオンも、その意味においちゃ互角だと思うぞ。
Keiichi cut into the conversation. They ended up making a lot of noise, teasing each other like they always do. Mion made it sound like that man, Kasai, is some sort of territory boss in Okinomiya. It wouldn't be easy for me to meet him in person, but because she's Shi-chan's watchdog, I might be able to find a way. The problem, though, is that I don't have any connection to Shi-chan either. We hang around every once in a while whenever she comes to Hinamizawa, but I've never called or visited her. I have no idea how we can meet. Even if I could meet Kasai, there's no guarantee that he'd help me. He seems like the kind of person who doesn't like to gossip about others. He told me about Rina at the coffee house only because Shi-chan pushed him to. Plus, the situation could grow worse very quickly. While I waited for the chance to meet him, so any help he might offer could come too late. I remember Kasai told me that as her next step, Rina usually uses her partner to threaten their catch. That would signify the end of her performance. They were going to take all of my father's money. I wasn't feeling a sense of crisis yet, but that time might be coming very soon. Even as I was at school, taking a class peacefully, that man might already be at the house right at this moment, threatening my father to hand over his bank books. Once I become anxious, I get more and more anxious. I could feel a big pressure on my chest as if the ceiling had collapsed on me.
いやー、平和すぎて退屈だぜ。
Keiichi talks to me yawning.
そうかな。レナは平和で退屈なの大好きだよ。
俺はごめんだね。せめて火星人が襲来するくらいのことが、毎週とは言わないまでにも、月末くらいには欲しいところだぜ。あ、定期テストはなしでだぜ。
Once a month would be fine if we got invaded by aliens.
もし本当に火星人が攻めてきて、世界中が滅ぼされて、ひなみ沢も焼け野原になったら、ケイチ君は退屈が紛れて満足かな？かな？
いや、そこまでは言ってねえよ。何かアクシデントの一つもないと、退屈で溶けちまいそうだぜって言いたかっただけだぜ。
He had no idea of what I'd been going through, of course, and that's why he says that. But I was still irritated by his insensitivity. I couldn't understand why he wouldn't be satisfied with such a peaceful life. He never has to doubt that today or tomorrow will be as fun as yesterday. I was all too aware that boring and peaceful days could be destroyed all of a sudden. I knew that boring and peaceful days could come to an end all of a sudden because your mom wanted to divorce your dad. I knew that you could feel like you didn't belong anywhere in your own house because your dad had gotten a new girlfriend. Even so, you had to repeat the same kind of day over and over again. And that's why I want to live every day happily in order to be prepared when the world comes to its end.
レナは日々が幸せそうでいいよな。そういうのもスキルなのかな。ちょっと
そんなの羨ましがられても困るの。
日々を退屈でなく幸せに過ごすのって何かコツでもあるのか？あるなら教えてくれよ。俺も得得してみたいぜ。
そんなの簡単だよ。気づくだけだもん。
気づくって？
There's no way he could realize it. And it was probably better that he didn't, because that meant he was truly happy.
気づくだけだよ。幸せな日々が有限であることに。
The three of us walked home from school like we always did. I also just remembered. I think in Onikakuchi, in the first chapter, at one point, Rena says to Mion, "Hey Mion, I want to borrow some manga. Do you mind if I stop by your place?" And Mion is like, "Huh? Sure. Why not?" And then they part ways with Keiichi, and they go to her house. Mi-chan said goodbye to us at the corner of the street where she took her separate way home. She walked away waving, but I chased after her.
何？
Mi-chan apparently thought she dropped something, and she looked around to see what she dropped.
忘れるところだった。実はね、昨日喫茶店でしーちゃんと笠井さんに会ったの。その時にね、笠井さんの落とし物を拾ったの。
Of course he hadn't dropped anything. I was lying. If I could meet him, I'd just show him whatever, tell him I thought it was his, and apologize for my mistake.
へえ、あ、そう。それありがとう。届けとくよ。
それでね、レナが直接返したいの。
She just squeaks. In surprise. Mi-chan looked surprised. I couldn't blame her. I had met him only once. It's weird to want to give something back in person to someone you barely know.
まあ、そりゃ構わないけど、なんでまた。
She's looking so smug.
サングラスにおひげだね。
He had a cute beard. And these cute
ちょっ
sunglasses.
ぴり可愛かったの。はう。
Could I fudge my true intentions with my cute mode? I tried it anyway. Mi-chan usually takes words at their face value, and indeed she seemed to buy it.
口ひげを引っこ抜いてお持ち帰りしちゃダメだよ。
で、どうかな？会えるかな？
忙しいのか暇なのか、全然見当つかない人だからね。
She looks so fucking smug.
今度、ひなみ沢に来る用事がないか聞いておくよ。
I needed to know when as soon as possible. Of course, I wasn't going to say I wanted to meet him today, but at least tomorrow or the day after tomorrow.
なんだよ、お前ら何やってんだ？
レナがね、新しい恋に目覚めちゃったんだってさ。
違うよ。
なんだそりゃ、面白そうな話だな。俺も混ぜろ。
I didn't want her to leave it up in the air, so I told her I think I should give it back to him as soon as possible. I'm sure he's looking for it too. Mi-chan said okay twice and walked away waving. I hadn't yet thought about how I was going to ask for help when I would meet him. He seemed to be in a higher position than Rina and her partner. If he agreed to help me, it would be very encouraging. But there was a possibility that he'd tell me he didn't want to interfere in other people's private matters. He could just say the whole thing was another love triangle between a father, his daughter, and his lover.
じゃあな、レナ。また明日な。
また明日ね。
I said goodbye to Keiichi and walked home alone. After Keiichi was gone, everything went quiet and my head became clear. What I needed at that moment was quiet time to think about what I should do from then on. I shouldn't depend on Kasai to solve my problem. It most likely declined my request, so I'll have to think about some alternatives. It's probably better that I just do that. A love triangle between a father, his daughter, and his lover. Those words bothered me, because I've seen an unhappy triangle like that before. That sort of thing had happened to Satoshi. Oh boy. Satoshi experienced it last year. He fought for his sister in a triangle with his aunt. It was the same situation as mine. I'm trying to fight to protect my father. Satoshi fought alone. Nobody helped him. All I did for him was give him my sympathy and compassion. I didn't think I could do anything more than that. I felt sorry for him, but I didn't really help out. Irresponsibly, I tried to cheer him up. I probably told him something that I thought would make him feel better, but that hurt him instead. I recently realized how much I hurt him with my insensitivity because Keiichi just hurt me the same way. I'm going down the same path Satoshi went last year. I just felt like I'm experiencing deja vu, an unusual repetition. That would mean that I'd be the one who gets demoned away this year? I should be okay. I wasn't thinking about running away from Hinamizawa. Was I? I wasn't thinking about running away from Hinamizawa, but I thought about running away from home many times. That's why I made the place I could escape to in the garbage dump. That dump happened to be in Hinamizawa. But what if it wasn't? Running there wouldn't be the same thing as running away from Hinamizawa. I shouldn't think like that. Oyashiro-sama would get mad at me. Oyashiro-sama is really scary. I saw flickering lights in my head. Oh no. Every time I try to remember that time, my mind would would stop working properly. I remember the vivid colors of my psychoactive drugs. The flickering lights and clouds started spreading in my head. They were so bright and annoying. Don't try too hard to remember. Don't try too hard to remember. No. I couldn't stop the flickering lights in my head. I couldn't have that feeling. I had to fill my heart with another feeling. Yeah, there was no time for these crazy flickering lights in my head. I had to think about what I should do when Kasai declined my request for help. I had to protect my father from Rina and that bad man. Wait, why am I still calling her that? Rina is Rina. Rina. She's a bad person who deceived my father and tried to bring us unhappiness. Bad people bring bad things into the world without even doing anything. They're different from the other 90% of people who aren't bad. If you let them loose, they'll even ruin the people around them. When you have one bad tangerine in a box, it spreads its fungus to the other tangerines around it. That's what bad people are like. I can remember how Satoshi resolved this triangle last year. But I could still see the flickering lights in my head. They're still flickering. 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 Just as the swirl of flickering lights were making me dizzy, I saw my house. I also saw Rina's scooter parked by the side of the gate. The moment I saw her bike, the flickering lights disappeared and I regained control of myself. Rina spent the night last night. Holy shit. She told me she had to work today in the evening, so she should be leaving soon, but I didn't want to be around her even for a little while until she left. I said, "I'm home," real loud, rushed into the house, pretended that my friends were waiting outside, and rushed out of the house. But Rina stopped me.
あら、おかえり、レイナちゃん。
あ、こんにちは。
This was the first time I thought Rina's smile was ugly. It only stood to reason. I had realized the scheme she was hiding behind the smile.
今日ね、お父さんと一緒にお昼は5グラまで行ってきたのよ。キーマカレーがとっても美味しいお店でね。
My father poked his head out of the living room and he says, "I want to go there again next time. I really like that curry." I wonder if he meant with me next time, or with me and her. Anyway, I hate it when Rina says, "your father."
それでレトルトをお土産に買ってきたの。後でぜひ食べてみてね。美味しいから。レイナちゃんはこのお店知ってる？
I did know the restaurant she was talking about. I saw it in the magazine. It's a new restaurant that just opened recently. I also remembered that it was an expensive restaurant. The amount of money they spent on the take-home curry alone must have been enough to cover the cost of all of our dinners for several nights. Since I was aware of what was in the bank books, it was hard for me to stay calm.
それは楽しみです。ありがとうございますね、みなさん。
それでね、レイナちゃん。ちょっとみんなでお話があるんだけど。
ごめんなさい。ちょっと友達を待たせてるんで出かけますね。またゴミ捨て場で宝探しなの。
レイナちゃんは宝探しが好きね。私も今度行ってみようかしら。
This chick fucking hates Irena so much. I can tell just by her voice how much she hates her.
ではすみません。失礼します。
Every time Marina moved her arms or head, the scent of her perfume struck my nostrils. I hate the smell of her perfume, so I couldn't stay there a second longer. I rushed out of the house and started running to get away from her perfume. The rubber band inside me, the one called Rena, was stretched all the way to its limit. I'm pretty sure I'd explode and go crazy if that rubber band broke. I didn't want to feel like that inside my own house. My house was supposed to be the place where I could open my heart freely. I ran away. I ran away from there. I ran farther and farther away from there because it was no longer a place I belonged to. It's not that I had a destination in mind, I was just running away. I was running to escape to a place where I didn't belong. Didn't I decide to fight against that woman? Didn't I decide to fight against her either by myself or with my father? But then, once I saw her fake smile, a chill ran up my back. It was like I picked up a stone, found a carpet of bugs underneath it, and put it back on the ground in a hurry. I rushed out of the house as fast as I could. Did I want to fight, or did I want to run away? Was I just choosing to spend a peaceful time at my hideout, believing that tomorrow would be the same as today? I couldn't do that. I didn't know when they'd spring their trap. I couldn't afford to waste any time. I knew that deep down. I knew that, but I just wanted to run away. I couldn't stop myself from running away, and so I did run away. At times like this, the mattress in my hideout would feel so soft that I knew. The cries of the Higurashi were soothing to the ears. They sounded as soft as my mattress. They were like music. They didn't force any feelings upon me. They cried as if to tell me to just be who I am. It was always so quiet here that I immediately noticed the purr of an engine coming closer. People used to come here to make a lot of noise during the dam conflict, but now nobody really comes here. This is a place forgotten. So it was rare to see somebody come through here at all. I sat on the roof of an abandoned cart and waited for the intruder to go away without looking their way. It was Rina, wasn't it? But the purr of the engine stopped. I'm not stupid. If it stopped, I knew exactly who it had to be. I heard the person calling me, but I ignored it once. The person came closer, making it harder for me to ignore her, and she called my name again. I turned around this time.
リナさん。
I knew it.
レイナちゃん、結構耳遠い方？
すみません。多分逆風だったんで聞こえにくかったんだと思います。
This bitch is so fucking rude. Holy fuck. Normally people say something like, hey, I was calling your name. Didn't you hear me? Instead, she's like, are you hard of hearing? What a fucking cunt. Oh my god. You can cut the tension with a butter knife. She seemed to buy my poor excuse. She smiled and said, yeah, it happens sometimes.
一人？お友達は？
一人で遊んでますよ。
その年でなかなか渋いわね。
Rina stretched and looked across the huge garbage dump.
しかし、よくもこれだけ盛大にスクラップばっか捨てたもんよね。知ってる？昔、平坂の2丁目にもタイヤの外れた車ばっかり積んであるところがあってね。
I wasn't interested in Rina's old story, but I pretended to listen and nodded. She doesn't take this road to go back to Okinomiya. I guess she knew I'd be here and came by to see me. What did she want? It was obvious that she was just trying to make conversation. She probably took it personally when I avoided her earlier, which must be why she was here to butter me up. It would be better for her not to have any conflicts with the daughter of the man she's seeing, no matter what the intentions of seeing him is. In that sense, it was a reasonable action for her to take. While I listened to her old story, all I could think about was when she was going to leave. Didn't I have to fight against her? Didn't I decide to fight against her? Didn't I find out her plot at the coffee house in Okinomiya? Didn't I find out that this woman is squeezing money out of my father when I looked inside the cash box? I know who you are. Please leave my father alone. How easy it would be if those two sentences could solve the problem. She'd probably deny it. Even if I told her about what I heard at the coffee house, I have no evidence of her plot. If she said she did it because the vulgar man was threatening her, there would be nothing I could do. But I know this woman is a bad person. I know something horrible will happen in the near future if I waste time like this. A strange, tense feeling started coming over me, but I didn't know how to let it out. As the feeling started running high, I became unable to stand the smell of her perfume. I wanted to put a certain distance between me and her, so I climbed down the slope of the scrap heap. I kept going down and down the slopes of the garbage dump. When I turned around, I saw her coming down as well, muttering. Was she following me? In order to run away from her, I started running down the slope all the way to the bottom, went around behind some trash piles, and arrived at the front of my hideout. My escape was meaningless. Not only was she going to catch up to me eventually, all I did was let her know the way to my hideout that nobody is supposed to know about. I wanted to make sure that she never saw my precious hideout. I was about to leave, but then she appeared.
へえ、ちょっと素敵よね。秘密基地みたい。
私だけの秘密の隠れ家なんですよ。ここには誰も来ないし、誰にも何も聞こえません。
I felt strange hearing myself say that.
レイナちゃんだけの秘密の隠れ家嬉しいわね。そんな場所に連れてきてもらえるなんて。
That is a very weird sentence to say, huh? Yeah, nobody can see us and nobody can hear us here. She was the thought I told her my secret because she was worth sharing with. She looked happy. She found the station wagon, looked inside of it through the window, and went all ooh and ah excitedly. This is a secret place that nobody else knows. I felt my consciousness was separating from my body, like I was floating. But I didn't feel good, like when I drink amazake. It was more like being carsick. And just real quick. Amazake is... It either has low alcohol or no alcohol, and it's a drink made of rice, like rice water. I felt like I was going to throw up. I mean, I could tell because of the sake part, but anyway. My brain was probably secreting some chemical, and again, sake is spelled with an S, not a Z, but anyway. My brain was probably secreting some chemical in order to avoid facing the reality that I have to stay with this woman, that I couldn't run away from her. But even if my brain tried to avoid recognizing it, the reality in front of me wouldn't change.
そうそう。ねえ、レイナちゃん。
なんでしょう。
どうしたの？気分悪いの？
いえ、平気です。
I inhaled fresh air and pulled my consciousness back to reality. I didn't feel like throwing up anymore, but I still felt off balance. I leaned onto a scrap of garbage to keep my balance.
私はレイナちゃんのこと好きよ。レイナちゃんは私のこと好き？
何ですか突然。
Reina-chan, don't you know that it's rude to answer a question with a question? I said that because I didn't want to say that I liked her.
私ね、ずっとあなたのお父さんとお付き合いをしているんだけど、いろいろと話し合ってね。
I needed to stop feeling like this. Get up, Rena. I'd heard something like this before. A part of me was trying to understand what this woman was trying to say, but another part of me was trying not to. I felt as if her words were bouncing around in my head, and I started having a headache.
それでね、これからのことを真剣に話し合ったのよ。これからの生活や、いろいろよ。
What?
レイナも秋人おじさんのこと好きでしょ？それでね、お母さん。
What's going on? Mother? What are you thinking about, Rena? This is an important moment. You're about to have a one-on-one battle with Rina. No, Mom, what about my dad? What about me? I don't want you to divorce him. I don't want you to get remarried to anybody else. No, please don't divorce him. I'm not gonna let you do that. I'm not gonna let you get remarried.
再婚なんて許さないです。
え？
お父さんとどういう付き合い方をしたって構いませんが、再婚なんて許さないです。
She must have not thought that I'd say it straight out like that. She looked stunned. After a while, she broke the silence with her laughter.
拒絶もあるかなとは思ってたけど、ここまではっきり言われるとは。
拒絶もあるかなと思っていました。私が拒絶していたのに気づいていたのは意外でした。
Oh, God. She's being so catty now. Holy fuck.
そんなのわかるでしょ。
Oh boy. Here she looks more surprised than anything. Ugh.
あんた、私と目を合わせるとすぐ逃げるもん。それで分かってないなんて思ってた？子供は嫌ね。
She frowned, revealing her ugly self. It should have been the first time I saw her face like that, but I wasn't surprised at all. Her face had looked like that to me from the
で
beginning.
きれば上辺だけでもあんたとは仲良くしてたかったんだけど、ここまで嫌われちゃ難しいわね。私のどこが気に入んないの？高額のために教えてよ。
最初っから全部。匂いも嫌い。
One vicious word came out from my mouth after another. I didn't have wings, but I felt as if I was flying up to the sky. I felt weird and uncomfortable, but also exhilarated. I felt as if I was letting another me use my body. I was in the middle of a disastrous battlefield, but I felt like it wasn't even my business. Also, this music. Here, I'll let it play for a little bit. It's very eerie.
「そりゃあ好都合ね。私もあんたのこと嫌いだったからお互い様よね。なめんなクソガキ。ガタガタ言わされてえか。
二度と家へ来ないでください。再婚なんて私が絶対に許さない。
別にあんたに許してもらわなくてもいいんだけど。まああんたがうまく立ち回ってお父さんに再婚を断念させたきゃさせてごらんって。そんなの今さら意味ないし。
She didn't look intimidated by me at all, and that made me feel a little intimidated in return. Why was she so confident of her absolute control over my father? She had to have more confidence to be able to act as She had to have more than confidence to be able to act as fearless as this. She must have something tangible. Before I asked her what it was, she told me herself.
私ね、プロポーズされたの。
I knew it.
嘘だ。
嘘じゃないわよ。本当よ。
It's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie, it's a big lie. She has to divorce she has to divorce him because she got pregnant. She has to get married because she got pregnant. That's a lie. That's a big
向
lie.
こうからのお願いだから聞かないわけにもいかないしね。指輪ももらっちゃったし、それに指輪まで送っておいて、今さらちゃぶ台返しなんてことになると、最近は問題が多いわよね。
Holy fuck.
それが最初から目的のくせに、私は聞いてるんだ。お前と鉄という男が二人で喫茶店で話しているところを聞いてるんだ。お父さんのお金を目当てに近づいたのを知っている。ひなみ沢の旦那と呼んで詐欺にかけようとしていることを知ってる。葛西さんに聞いたから全部知ってるんだ。詐欺師だってことも全部知ってるんだ。
あら、全部知ってるんだ。あらららららら。
Before I knew it, Rina was standing right in front of me. We glared at each other with our faces almost touching.
で、
So,
レイナちゃんはそこまで知っててどうしようってわけ？
お父さんに二度と近づかないでください。
嫌よって言った。こんな秘密の隠れ家に誘ってくれての話だからね。そういうお話かなとは思ってたのよ。だってここ秘密の隠れ家なんでしょ。誰も知らなくて誰にも何も聞こえない。
ええ、そうですよ。誰も知らなくて誰にも何も聞こえない。誰も訪れることのない忘れられた場所。
our faces were so close to each other that our noses could almost touch. I knew what I was talking about, but I didn't know what would happen next. I couldn't back down now that I'd come to this point. But I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what I should do.
いやだ、何をマジになってんだかね。ほらほら、仲直り。
I lunged at her. I clawed her eyes out with my fingernails, and I slit her throat, is what I was expecting like Rena to say or something. But instead, it's just this. Rina started laughing and slapped me on the back. My expression didn't change and I kept staring at Rina, but I didn't notice her real intention of putting both her arms around my neck. The tension broke, already stretched thin, and Rina squeezed my neck hard. I was openly hostile, but I didn't realize Rina's evil intentions until she started choking me.
子供のくせに舐めやがってよ。もうちょいでうん千万って金が転がるんだよ。上辺だけでも仲良しってことになってりゃ、小遣いの少しもやろうって思ってたのにな。口ばっかり滑らしか、うんだらねえとこでまだるっこし。
Yeah, I assumed they would do the close-up. Oh, they even do a close-up with the gross art. Anyway.
死にさらせやこら。
I tried to pry her hands off my neck, but I didn't have the strength to do so.
殺しはしたかなかったんだけどね。二度とこんなうまいかもにゃ会えないだろうしさ。てめえ閉めてうん千万なら悪くはないさね。どうせ巻き上げたら蒸発するつもりだったしさ。上等くれたらこの野郎。
The world around me got darker and darker. I had never known an evil intention like this, namely the intention to kill me. It didn't scare me though. That's because being scared is a feeling that people use to express how they feel when they see wildfire on the other side of a river. People on the island with the wildfire with their deaths right in front of them, they don't get scared. If I loosened my grip on her hands, even a little bit, she'd crush my throat. This was a simple competition to see who was stronger. Rina wanted to get into the most advantageous position, so she tried to push me down to the ground so that she could mount me. If I let her do that, I wouldn't stand a chance. I tried to keep my current position, but I was losing a lot of energy by being choked. It was only a matter of time before Rina could push me down. I lost my balance on purpose. I tried to fall backwards in order to put her off balance. I couldn't hold my breath long enough to keep up that strength competition, so I had no choice but to take that chance. We fell to the ground, tangled together. But as Irina was strongly determined to kill me, she didn't even take her hands away from my neck after she fell. However, my actions made Irina loosen her grip on my throat. It wasn't loose enough for me to break free from her grip, but it gave me a few moments to use my hands for something other than stopping her from crushing my throat. If I hadn't taken the chance, I would have been done for. That's why I tried to literally seize my chance. I moved both of my hands to the ground to seize that chance. I felt a piece of broken glass in my right hand. That was truly my chance to literally save myself from the brink of death. I cut Irina's wrist deep with a piece of glass. Irina tried to endure the pain for a few seconds, but pain that severe from someone so cornered soon broke her will. She let go of my throat to cling to her bloody wrists. I used that moment to roll away from her. She screamed, both in pain and also to try to intimidate me again. It didn't work anymore, though. Intimidation only works on the opponent when the opponent is hesitant to fight. When you're already in a fight, screaming like that means nothing more than letting the opponent know how badly you're hurt. I no longer had any hesitation. I had learned from Irina. She taught me what I had to do in a situation like this. That's right. This is my secret hideout. I know every single piece of junk in here. Maybe I knew that a day like this was coming. Was it just a coincidence that it was here? I had pulled out a meter-long lead pipe. Not at all surprised to see it here. I raised it up high and brought it back down. There was no way Irina could block this hard and heavy lead pipe with just her arms. She'd probably try to block it with the palm of her hands in order to take it away from me, but her long nails wouldn't let that happen. Unable to catch it the way she wanted, she broke her fingers and some of her nails came off too. Her screams made me realize that I had the advantage. An advantage I would have to keep. If I didn't, she'd turn the tables just like I did, and then she'd choke me to death for sure. Lina shielded her head with her arms, but it didn't help. All that would change is that I'd break her arms before I broke her face. I'm serious too. Die. 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 You should die. Yes, that's right. I should have done this a long time ago. I didn't need proof. I didn't have to talk to anybody. That's stupid. That's nonsense. I should have done this a long time ago. If I had done it a long time ago, my father wouldn't have been deceived. I could have protected him. I could have protected my family. I could have protected my life. I could have been myself. My mother wouldn't have divorced my father. I could have stayed happy. I wouldn't have had to be unhappy. I'm going to recapture my happiness. At this moment, I'm going to win back my happiness. I'm not going to cry for misfortune. I'm not going to give into a fate of unhappiness. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to seize my happiness right now with my own 2 hands. Irina tried to run away from me, but as she no longer had the use of her hands, it made it difficult for her to stand up to escape, especially since there were scraps of junk everywhere on the ground. After all, this is my hideout. This is my territory. Nobody can run away from me here. She tried to climb up a slope of garbage and slipped, fell, and rolled all the way back down. Before I forget, this is also a new background, which we haven't seen. So just real quick, that's the classic, and then the console version of it. She didn't stand up or move. Her eyes were wide open and her neck was bent at an unnatural angle. I didn't know how to make sure she was dead, so I kept looking at her open eyes for a while. She could be faking it for all I know, but she didn't close her eyes no matter how long I waited. I scooped up a handful of sand and threw it on her face. She still didn't close her eyes. The lead pipe slipped out of my hand and hit the ground. When I tried to pick it up, I realized how heavy it was, and I was surprised that I was wielding it as though it was a knife. I was sweating all over. The cold wind felt good on my skin. The cries of the Higurashi were calming me down and healing my soul. Irina was just like a broken dummy now. She had become a piece of junk. I am the owner of this land of junk, and I've defended it from her intrusion. Now she was a resident of this junkyard. I didn't feel bad about killing her. In fact, I felt rather fulfilled that I defeated the evil woman who had deceived my father. I started breathing slowly and calmly and I regained enough energy to analyze the situation. I'd have to hide her body. First, I have to get rid of her scooter. I climbed up the slope and kicked the scooter down the hill. It rolled down the slope, making a lot of noise, and blended in with all the junk as it stopped, like it was there from the beginning. I went back down to the slope and started dragging her body to my hideout. It should have taken as much effort as dragging a 50-kilogram sandbag, but it felt lighter than that. It was just a sandbag, yet it brought disaster to my family. I didn't lure her here in order to kill her. Or did I? Maybe I just didn't notice that I had that intention deep in my heart. But even so, I felt like this was the best and most expedient solution. There was no better solution than killing her. How wasteful to depend on someone to help me, to wait for the day to come when they will. I remembered the murder of Satoshi's aunt that happened last year. I had no doubt that Satoshi murdered her, but I'd never been as convinced as I am right at this moment. How could he have saved Satoko, other than by killing his aunt last year at that time in that circumstance? My situation was much the same as his. How could I save my father other than by killing her? If I was planning a murder, I would have been under a lot of pressure and stress. But, for better or for worse, the moment came to me out of nowhere. That's why I believe I solved my problem with as little trouble as possible. Now that she's gone, will anyone become suspicious about her disappearance? She was an irresponsible person who skipped work at her own convenience, so I didn't think anybody would get suspicious when she disappeared one day. She was a big mess from the start. People will think she went into hiding because she got into deep trouble with someone. I didn't need to fabricate an alibi. All I needed to do was get rid of her body. It took me a while to figure out how to do that last part. Hiding her body would be very risky, but my brain had become so calm that it did some calculations and came up with an answer right away. My brain had become so calm, just like Keiichi. She finished her off in 1500 seconds. Yes, this place is still the safest. This is a place forgotten. Nobody comes here. Nobody knows this place is here. I knew that because I'd been spending a lot of time here. Compared to taking the risk of carrying her body to some other place, it was a lot safer to just hide it here. But it wasn't perfect yet. This place wouldn't remain a secret forever. I could hide it here for now, but I'd have to come up with the perfect way to make it completely disappear. It's a lot easier to think about that than thinking about how to make Rina break up with my father. I stuffed her corpse into a broken refrigerator in a trash pile. I wanted to cover the refrigerator with dirt and bury it, but that was too easy. I had to chop the corpse into pieces and make them completely disappear. Wasn't Rena walking around with an axe one day in Onikakushi? And Keiichi was like, Rena looks kind of scary today. I'm not gonna try to bother her. I felt like it got dark all of a sudden. No, it didn't get dark all of a sudden. I just didn't realize. It was getting dark until just then. I could hear thunder from a distance. It might rain soon. I could use some rain. It washed Rina's dirty blood into the ground. I should go home. I should think about what I'd do tomorrow. I was going to stay right beside my father until he forgets about her. He might be hurt at first, but we're going to recapture our happiness for sure. Our happy, peaceful life. Holy fuck. My body was heavy with exhaustion, but I also felt fulfilled because I took a very important first step today. I'll keep taking one step after another. I'm not going to cry anymore. I'm not going to cry until I win back my happiness. I'm not going to cry again.
再婚なんかする必要ないよ。
That was the first thing I said after I got home. My father looked stunned. He noticed a sad tone in my voice and realized that I didn't agree with the idea of his remarriage. He looked down.
無理もないよな。レイナの気持ちもわかるよ。事前にレイナにもよく相談。
プロポーズなんて取り消せばいい。あんな女。
あんな女なんて言い方しちゃダメだ。リナさんは。
本当のことを話す。あの女と鉄という男は二人組の悪人。我が家の財産を狙ってお父さんに近づいてきただけ。
My father didn't get it right away, of course. He looked upset instead because I called her that woman. I should have chosen my words a little more carefully, but I think I told him the truth clearly enough. I told him everything I heard and saw at the coffee house. As I expected, he defended Rina right away. I was upset, but at the same time, it made me certain that there was no other way than to kill her. I felt the pressure on my shoulders lessen for some reason. My father thought that he needed my approval for his remarriage, so he held back his anger and put a fake smile on his face
な
instead.
あレイナ、もう一度ゆっくりとお父さんたちと話し合おう。そうすればきっと分かってくれるから。
A tamed animal is still tamed even after the owner is dead. That's okay. I'll open the gate anyway. Even a tamed animal will notice one day that he's no longer in captivity. That's not something I could teach him. He had to realize it on his own. I couldn't stand his fake smile anymore, so I left the living room. Time healed the pain from the divorce. Time heals any kind of pain, just like how dripping water will eventually bore a hole through solid rock. I did what I could do. Now I'd have to wait. But the day I was going to wait for came earlier than I expected. At midnight the following day, we had a visitor. It was that Te-chan man. Teppei Hojo. Teppei didn't even knock on the door to get in. He broke into my house by smashing the window. At first, I thought he came here to ask about Rina's whereabouts, but I was wrong. The real reason why Teppei came here was because it was their plan. It was the last stage of their badger game. Rina was probably supposed to be in bed with my father at that time tonight. Teppei must have wanted to show up and catch them sleeping together. Teppei looked around the house but couldn't find Rina. He didn't change the plan though. He grabbed my father by his collar and started yelling threats. He showed my father a certificate of marriage to Rina and shouted at him saying, "You got my wife pregnant, how are you going to take responsibility?" My father had no idea she was married. He looked shocked. My father is a short guy who is faint of heart. He just let Teppei do and say whatever he wanted from the beginning to end. I looked at them from a distance coldly. The more Teppei yelled and threatened my father, the faster he'd wake up from his bad dream. This was a medicine for him. Teppei was cutting out the cancer that was going to depend on time to do, and he was doing a great job of it. Man, that must be like a horrid fucking scene. I waited to help my father until I was sure that he finally awakened from his bad dream. I told Teppei that I had something very important to tell him and took him outside.
で、なんじゃい？重要な話っちゅうんは。
リナさんって昨日以来沖宮に帰ってますか？
ん？
実はリナさん、事情があって隠れてるんです。
あ？どういうこっちゃ？
リナさんから哲平さんが来たら連れてきてほしいと言われてるんです。
あ？リツコのやつどうしたんね？
Teppei followed me without hesitation. We walked in the dark with a flashlight to the place where nobody comes and nobody can hear us. The place forgotten. He asked me many things on the way, but I couldn't answer any of them. I just told him to ask Rina. The way I said it seemed to make him think that Rina was going to betray him and get married to my father for real. Even though he was breathing heavily in a rage, he walked right behind me without any suspicion. I knew this day was going to come very soon, and so I was well prepared for it. We reached the place I originally planned to bring him and I turned off the flashlight all of a sudden.
どうしたんね？
Everyone gets nervous when the only light in the dark goes off. But this is my territory. I didn't need any light. I could feel my surroundings even better with my eyes closed. I grabbed the big hatchet I'd hidden in the bush and lifted it up
ご
high.
めんなさい。電池の接触不良かな。ちょっと待ってくださいね。
ああ、はよせんとね。
I purposely sounded weak and helpless while I raised the hatchet into the air.
ああ、ライターあるわ。出すんね。
Teppei found the lighter in his pocket and lit it up. He probably couldn't understand the sight illuminated by that small light. He saw a girl lifting a big hatchet right in front of him.
Huh? Oh.
Teppei's eyes went wide. He didn't understand what was going on, but he understood that his life was in danger. And yet he must have not been able to think fast enough to deal with it, even though he understood what he should do. Even if he could think fast enough and blocked his head with his arms, it wouldn't have meant anything. I knew Teppei would come to my house eventually. That's why I prepared for that day. I just didn't think that preparation was going to bear fruit tonight. I chose my weapon very carefully. I planned when, where, and how I was going to attack him. And so, there can only be one result. The hatchet cut deeply into his forehead. I felt an indescribable vibration through the hatchet when it hit him, and this told me that I broke his skull. He bragged about how good he was at fighting at a coffee house, but he sure went down quickly when faced with a murderous weapon. He was done in by a single blow. Teppei slowly fell to his side with a hatchet in his forehead. He looked like a victim in a B-movie. I killed this big guy with just one hatchet. He was probably quite experienced in the world of violence, but I was better than him when it came to killing. Why? Because I've killed someone before. It's all done now. The bad people who deceived my father and tried to rob him blind are all gone. I did what I had to do in order to protect my life. If I had this much courage and determination when my mom had told me about the divorce, I might have killed Akihito. When you were like 5? If I did, I would have taken the life of only one. Because I couldn't do it back then, I have had to kill 2 people in the last 2 days. Rena, let's finish it up. There's already a place to hide his body. I took care of everything. My hands were so wet, so I shone the flashlight at them. I thought it was blood, but it was just sweat. Even so, I felt uncomfortable and shone the flashlight at my hands several times. I did all this in order to be happy. I did all this so I should be happy now. I tried so hard that I got blood on my hands. I wanted to get credit for that from him. Oyashiro-sama, let me ask you a question. I can finally rewind the time back to the day everything started to go wrong, can't I? I'm going to stay in Hinamizawa. I'm going to live happily with my father forever. What do you mean, turn back time? It's rare to see Rena sleep in class. She isn't the kind of girl who sleeps in class because of staying up so late. She had to be tired from doing housework or something. Everybody seemed to be thinking the same thing. Nobody tried to wake her up, not even Chie-sensei. She got up for a few seconds and went back to sleep. She swayed back and forth like she was rowing a boat. But she's in class, so I should wake her up, right? I was about to wake her up, but before my hand touched her, Mion gave me a sign not to.
寝かせてあげなよ。たまにはそういう日もあるよ。
I think I remember this from Onikakuchi as well. Or, yeah, Onikakuchi.
それもそうだな。
I heard a few days ago that Rena lives with her father. She studies during the days, plays a lot after school, and does things around the house after that. I didn't know that. I also didn't know her mother had divorced her father. Mion told me that, and she also told me not to talk about it because Rena is still hurt by the divorce.
そんな苦労をしてるなんて全然気づきもしなかったぜ。
レナはそういうのを表に出さないタイプだよね。ひょっとすると普段陽気に振る舞っているのもそういう風に意識して振る舞っているからかもね。
Rena told me that happy days will one day come to an end. She told me that she knew that firsthand. What could she have been through? No idea. That's probably why she tried to spend as much time as peacefully and cheerfully as she did. I must have hurt her feelings when I said I was bored of having happy days. When I thought about it, I felt bad for living off my parents, who are both healthy and happy. For that matter, Satoko and Rika lost their parents too. Mion lives with her grandmother and away from her parents because she needs to learn to be the head of the Sanozaki family in the future. When I realized all that, I felt bad about my situation.
別にケイちゃんが両親と生活してることを申し訳なく思うことはないよ。
Mion seemed to have read my mind. She said it with a cool expression on her face.
確かに家族ってのは生まれてきた子供である私たちにとって一番最初のコミュニティなんだと思う。でもね、コミュニティは家族だけじゃないんだよ。
仲間か？
わかってるじゃん。
俺たちはレナにとって家族に負けないくらいの存在なんだろうか。
掃除洗濯、炊事に買い物。それに疲れて昼寝だけして過ごすことだってレナにはできるんだよ。でもレナはそれをしない。放課後の時間いっぱいを私たちと部活をして過ごす。それはつまり、なんて言えばいいのかな。そう、仲間ってことなんだよ。
レナにとっては家族と同じくらいの意味のある仲間ってことなのか？
Mion looked stunned, as if she didn't understand what I was talking about.
ああ、ケイちゃんが今日まで仲間って言葉をどういう意味で使ってきたか知らないけどさ、仲間ってのは家族と全く同格じゃないのかな。
難しく考えることではないのですよ。
Rika joined our conversation.
居場所があればいいのです。それがある場所を家族と言ったり仲間と言ったり、呼び方が少し変わるだけのことなのですよ。
リカちゃんにとって家族と仲間は同じものか？
僕はそうだと思っていますです。サトコもミーも、そしてレナもそうだと思いますですよ。
だから私たちはいつも一緒にいようとするんじゃないかな。
リカちゃんはみんなといると寂しくないか？
みんなは家族なのです。寂しくなんかないのですよ。
Mion nodded in agreement. Satoko was talking with her other classmates, but I'm sure she would nod as well. Rena would too.
俺、ちょっと恥ずかしいよ。
ん？
今日まで俺、仲間って言葉を使ってきたけどさ、本当の意味で理解してなかったと思う。仲間ってのは、もっともっと大切で、かけがえのない、すげえもんなんだよな。
それ、すっごく当たり前のことだからさ。もし今日まで分かってなかったなら、よく胸に刻んだ方がいいよ。
そうだな。そうするぜ。
あと、それを二度と口にしない方がいいかもだね。今、ケイちゃん、かなり恥ずかしいこと言ってたと思うよ。
After all that, Mion still made fun of me. I think I understand a little better why Rena was always so serious about having fun. I wanted to be her best friend, and I wanted to do my best, and I want to do my best. I want to do my best to be deserving of her effort. Rena snored. It sounded cute. Chia-sensei let her sleep in class, but she couldn't let her get away with snoring.
委員長、竜宮さんを起こしてください。
レーナ、ほらほら。
Oh, she looks so cute. Rena was still half asleep and made a strange noise. Everybody in the class laughed. Rena noticed they were laughing at her, woke up right away, and acted like she wasn't sleeping at all. It looked really funny, and I burst into a fit of laughter. Outside the window, the sky was blue, and the clouds were pure white. It was still June, but it looked like the middle of summer. This perfect weather wouldn't last forever. It could get cloudy and rain all of a sudden. That's why we had to play and raise a ruckus while we still had this perfect weather. The cries of the cicadas sound as if they were laughing at us because we still had some classes left. Damn it. Can't wait for school to finish.
どうしたんだろう。ケイチくんすっごく嬉しそうだね。今日は何かあるの？
別に今日は今日だし、明日は明日だろ。今日が晴れてるならそれで十分。明日の天気なんか知ったこっちゃないってことさ。だから今日という日を俺は精一杯遊び倒したい。いつ天気が崩れたって後悔しないくらいに徹底的にな。
I learned that from Rena. I learned that peaceful days are the happiest days you can have, and that they're irreplaceable.
ミオ、今日の部活はなんだ？それに最近罰ゲームがちょいと刺激不足だぜ。
言うね、ケイちゃん。そこまで言うなら今日の放課後には生き地獄ってやつを拝ましてあげるよ。
圭一くん、あんまりみーちゃんを挑発しちゃダメだよ。
おいおい、臆すのかよレナ。上等じゃないかよ。また俺たちの実力で大暴れしてやろうぜ。俺とレナの決着だってまだまだついちゃいないんだからな。
Cute. I grinned at her, and she grinned back.
それもそうだね。よーし、レナも思いっきり頑張るぞ。レナさんには先日の借りがございますものね。きっちり倍返しさせていただきましてですわよ。
いいねいいね。盛り上がってきたよ。
早く放課後になるといいのです。
Didn't wait either, but that time we spend just talking together is also very precious.
そうだな。早く放課後になるといいな。
This seems like a chapter end, like the end of the whole chapter. But there's still like 5 or 6, like the Watanagashi hasn't even happened yet. Yeah, my favorite wine. So we got a new tip. So before we hop onto the tip, before we get to the tips or the new tip, one thing that I kept thinking about was, because again, the game loves to do this. The game loves to distract you. If I would have just ended the stream today, you probably would have just been like, oh man, that was a cool episode. You know, like Rena killed Teppei, she killed Rina. Man, she must have felt so cathartic. And the game loves to make you feel this way. And it loves to make you not think about the consequences of her actions. Because remember, Rina left all of a sudden, right? One day, like she came over to visit Rena's dad. Rena's like, well, I'm gonna go to the junkyard. I'll see you all later. And then she probably told him, hey, I'll be back. I need to talk to her. And then after that, she disappeared, but Rena came home that day. Just fine. In fact, she told him, like, hey, she's using you. He didn't believe her. And then, like, a day or two later, Teppei shows up. Teppei starts beating the crap out of her dad. And then her dad, like, kind of realizes this. And then Rena is just like, hey, by the way, can I talk to you outside? And he's like, huh? Yeah, sure. I just finished beating up your dad, but okay. And then she's like, yeah, follow me real quick. So, like, no father, no matter what position they're in, unless they're a literal cuck, they would not let some random man, you know, walk off with their daughter. Right? Dude was probably knocked the fuck out or something. But anyway, this dude shows up and then all of a sudden he's gone. He never comes back again. And he doesn't question Rena about this. He probably will later. But these are things that you should keep in the back of your mind. That so far, the last person that saw both of them, Rina and Teppei, were Rena and her dad. So, something's definitely gonna happen. And I'm sure a very cold air conditioner is gonna be involved. As we all know. Anyway, let's move on to the tip. So, my favorite wine. Sadako went to join the children playing in the schoolyard. Since I didn't feel like going, I decided to stay at home. Most likely, she wouldn't be back until the evening. When Sadako wasn't around, I had ways of spending time without her. Besides, that's what I wanted to do anyway. I stuck my hand deep into the pile of winter futons in the closet and pulled one out. This is Rika and Satoko's house. It's the fucking shit that they live in. Yes, it is. So, this is Rika. Rika's about to drink? Next, I filled a stylish-looking glass with ice. The ice made in the freezer smelled of chlorine, though, and didn't taste good. Store-bought ice would be best, but since Satoko kept asking me what I was using it for, I stopped buying it. but it might be worth spending time to think about a good excuse for that if it meant I would be able to enjoy ice without ever again smelling the chlorine. I filled the glass with mineral water, then I poured a little bit of another liquid into the glass. Another liquid, huh? Watching the color mixed into the transparent water was a very pleasant thing. This wasn't the right way to drink it, but I liked it that way, and didn't want to hear any complaints. My body is very convenient, because I can get drunk with only a tiny amount. That's why I dilute that small amount with a full glass of water. And thanks to that, I could enjoy a single bottle for a long time. It wasn't bad, if you thought about it like that. I put a cushion on my favorite spot by the window with a glass in one hand. I enjoyed the familiar view and the soft wind brushing through my hair. A slightly sweet, ripened aroma tickled my nose. And just when I was about to start enjoying the atmosphere, the annoying one came back. She didn't like this bad habit of mine, and she complained every time I tilted the glass. She started nagging me so
うる
noisily.
さいな。少しくらい我慢なさい。何を飲もうと食おうと、私の勝手でしょ。
ダメなのです。その飲み物はあなたにはまだ早いのです。
Huh? I tried to ignore her, but she started making a fuss, as if trying to ruin the atmosphere on purpose. There was no way I could enjoy getting drunk like this. I glared at her, and threw the drink out the window.
なんで私が憂鬱か知りたい？私の死に方が決まったからよ。
It seemed like she finally understood why I wanted to drown myself in alcohol.
そんなに落ち込まなくてもいいのよ。割と一瞬で死ねるから、そんなに怖くないわ。
My body will be burned and cut into pieces, but I'll be able to die instantly.
でも、またダメなのです。
そうね。またダメね。これだと、私の命日はいつだっけ
？6月の25日の夜だと思いましたです。
綿流しの祭りが終わってから、だいたい1週間後か。まあ、妥当なあたりね。
やっぱり、僕のせいなのでしょうか。
決まってるでしょ。あんた自覚ないの？はう、はう。
She was the one who asked me, yet she cried when I told her she was right. Ah, jeez. She's always so annoying.
頑張りましょう。次のすごろくではきっと、6が立て続けに出てくれることもあるわよ。
June 25th. I still had 10 more days. I was going to relax and enjoy those 10 days. I still had some wine left too. What the fuck? What? What? So is this Rika? Is it her with her inner monologue? Is it an actual other entity that just appears whenever Rika's alone? Is it like Rika's other self taking control, and then like metaphorically her little self is the one that's, you know, coming up and complaining about her drinking? What is going on? Holy fuck. Well, I guess I'll just have to think about that some more. But I think this would be a good stopping point for tonight. So let's go ahead and swap on over to the ending screen real quick.